A crazy surgeon who chops off the limbs of the woman he loves, two filmmakers investigating a cursed film, a postal worker who's investigating a piece of dead mail begging for help. These are just some of the themes featured in the horror movies I watched in April. So let's talk about every horror movie I watched in April and whether or not you should check them out too. I kicked off the month watching a found footage horror movie on Found TV, which is a found footage streaming platform. It is called Demon. It's spelt very weird. There's like a slash and an underscore. I hate that shit because it makes it harder to find these movies. But anyway, this one was adapted from a short film of the same name, and it's focused on a group of people who are Skyping each other for a movie night, and one of the people gets an invite to play this weird game. And unfortunately, when he's playing this game, he learns that if he dies in the game, people around him, his friends, start dying, and soon he's in danger himself. I think that this one is a really fun screen life concept. I love desktop horror, screen life horror. I did a whole recommendations list about screen life horror movies that I can link down below for you. This one is cool because it includes a video game, and I really liked the gaming concept of it because it's just got really cool, fun, nostalgic graphics. It's a little slow. It takes about 20 minutes for the story to kick in, and then it leads up to just ridiculousness towards the end. But I think it's an average, easy watch. If you love that style of horror movie, I do recommend checking it out because it's free. Then I checked out Rorsach. I hope I'm saying that correctly, but this is from 2015, and I watched this on YouTube. One of you guys out there recommended it to me, and I'm really thankful because I never would have found this movie otherwise. This is about two paranormal investigators who are investigating this young mother who claims that her house is haunted and her daughter is also experiencing paranormal stuff. So it's a slow build to kind of crazy paranormal activity. This one is very low budget indie horror, and it just feels kind of like back to basics haunted house horror, like Paranormal Activity, The Conjuring, and I think that it's pretty decent. It's a little slow. Some people, it might be too slow, but I thought it was really creative, and I'm always impressed to see what indie filmmakers are able to accomplish with so little. I think there's some really effective moments, some great atmosphere in this one, and I do recommend this one as well. You can watch this on YouTube. There's a few movies with that name, so make sure you're looking for the one directed by C.A. Smith. Then I checked out Deadmail, which is currently streaming on Shudder, and I was pleasantly surprised by this one. This one is set in the 80s, and it has a very 80s aesthetic to it, which I absolutely love. I love the style and the way the story unfolds. This is about a person who has been kidnapped, and he manages to write a letter asking for help and put it in the mailbox, and it gets sent to the post office, where people who sort through dead mail, which is essentially mail that doesn't have a return address, it doesn't have enough stamps, stuff like that. So these people are sorting through it, and they find this letter, and they don't know if it's real or not. So the beginning of the story is focused on this one postal worker who is kind of questioning if he should investigate this piece of mail. And then the story changes where we're following what happened to the guy who was kidnapped, how he got there, and who kidnapped him. And it's a really weird story about obsession. It's got a lot of music stuff invoked in it because these guys are making music, and it's about kind of like they're making scores, and like it's like synth music, synthwave. So it's got some really cool music and just really weird characters, but great performances. I think it's really unique, and I just loved the look of it. I wish we would have focused more on certain characters than we kind of go past that, but overall I thought it was really unique, and I do recommend this one. I also checked out Mortal Remains, which is a found footage horror movie you can stream on Tubi. This is about two filmmakers who start off making a documentary about the Blair Witch Project. In doing this, they meet Eduardo Sanchez. He appears in their documentary, and he tells them about this filmmaker he discovered while making Blair Witch. And this guy was infamous, notorious for making really disturbing movies that never really saw the light of day. And there's one movie in particular that was so disturbing that after its initial premiere, it just it disappeared. So these filmmakers decide to switch from making a documentary about the Blair Witch and focus on this filmmaker and his career and trying to locate this film. I think that this is just a really fun concept, kind of like the cursed film concept. There's a lot of culty stuff involved in it, and I think that the filmmakers are fun to follow. They actually have Eduardo Sanchez appear on film, and I just love that, like, old school found footage feel to it. I think that there's a really unique mystery at its core, and oftentimes I was wondering if what they're investigating was real or not. I still don't know. I really liked the story. I like where it goes, and I think it has some really effective moments. Then I watched Until Dawn in theaters, and you know what, guys? A lot of people hated this movie. I didn't hate it that much, but I understand the criticisms to it. So this is, of course, based on the video game of the same name, but it completely changes the story from the video game. So many video game fans are unhappy with this. The story follows this young girl who's investigating, or she's looking for her sister who disappeared, and she brings her friends with her to her sister's last known whereabouts. And when they get there, they find themselves trapped in this time loop where they're essentially killed in brutal ways night after night by monsters, and they have to figure out how to break the cycle. Cool concept, cool idea, but it kind of gets a little old after a while, and I feel like they skip over a lot of the fun stuff by doing like a quick cell phone montage. I think that the characters are very generic and hard to get behind, hard to follow, and it gets a little boring. Even though there's amazing kills happening, there's really cool practical effects, and I watched a behind the scenes from the director, Pony Smasher, David F. Sandberg, on YouTube, which is really cool. So there was passion in his filmmaking process, but overall the movie is not that good, but I don't think it's as bad as everyone's saying it is. Like, I think it's a fun movie to throw on. I would wait for you to be able to stream it. My 17-year-old niece thought it was really fun, so maybe this is for a more younger audience, a younger teen audience, newer horror fans, but it is very brutal. The kills are really cool, I thought, but it would have been cool to have more monsters. We only get a few, and yeah, better characters, a better script. It's okay. It's not that bad. Then I checked out Doc 33 from 2011 on YouTube, and this is described as a spin-off of the Blair Witch Project. So this is an Italian horror film that follows 4 filmmakers who are investigating a haunted orphanage in the Austrian Alps. And this orphanage was home to a nun who was very abusive, and she also practiced witchcraft. And over 70 children or something like that were murdered or killed at this orphanage, so it has a very dark energy and a dark past. And these filmmakers find the orphanage and they decide to spend the night and do a seance. And you know what? That doesn't go well for them. I think that this is really cool that it is basically calling itself a spin-off of the Blair Witch, although it has nothing to do with the Blair Witch. They're just basically doing the same kind of story, but it's Italian. I think that it's good up until the end. We get a lot of shaky cam craziness where it shows a little too much and goes on a little too much. And I think what the Blair Witch does better is it doesn't show that much. It leaves it up to your imagination. And if you like the Blair Witch, I think you'll have fun with this one. Then I checked out the best movie from this month, and probably the best movie of the year, and that is Sinners. Believe the hype that everyone is saying about Sinners, because it is that good. This movie is a mashup of a bunch of different genres. It's a crime neo-noir thriller mixed with horror, with vampires, and there's just a lot going on with it. I think that Michael B. Jordan is amazing. He's playing 2 characters, and they really feel like 2 different characters. I think that there's a lot of rich cultural stuff in here. There's a lot of blues music and stuff about the blues put intertwined throughout the story. And the story itself is about these 2 brothers who, I think they robbed some people in Chicago, and they decide to use the money to open up a jukebox, which is basically like a jazz blues bar that is essentially just for Black people to have a good time, not worry about anything, and just really be themselves. But unfortunately, the grand opening night is visited by some vampires. And these vampires are not just regular vampires, it's led by a vampire vampire named Remick, who's actually Irish. So he has a lot of cultural oppression experience himself, and there's just a lot of like cultural vampirism aspects to the story as well, where people kind of take from other cultures and turn it into their own. A lot of interesting stuff that I can't really explain as well as many other people can explain, but it was just, it's so good. The music is incredible, and there's one particular scene where a character kind of like transports people through time through music that is absolutely gorgeous. It is one of the most beautiful scenes I've ever seen, and there's also Irish music in it that was just so beautiful as well. There was so much, there's so like, it's just so large in scale, and I think that it does have similarities to From Dusk Till Dawn. It also reminded me of Demon Knight from 1995, but it is much bigger than that. This movie is over 2.5 hours long, or it's almost 2.5 hours long, but I didn't feel the length. Like, it felt like it was moving and flowed very perfectly. There's also romance involved. Like, there's so much in this story. There's a lot about racism. You're getting all of these different moments and all of these messages and themes, but it doesn't feel heavy-handed. Like, it doesn't feel like it's force-feeding you a message. Anyway, this movie was a 5 out of 5 for me. This was my first Ryan Coogler movie that I've seen, so I'm excited to see more from him. Loved it. I don't know what's going to top this. And I ended off the month watching a movie that I've been wanting to watch for years. Like, this has been a white whale of mine for years because it's not on DVD anymore, it's not streaming, you have to buy a copy somewhere else and it's like $50 or whatever. And that is Boxing Helena from 1993. Now, I first heard about this movie from my hairdresser years ago, probably like a decade ago at least, and I'm very just, you know, I'm flattered that they thought of me when they thought of this movie, and they were like, hey, you will like this movie. And ever since then, I've been on a mission. Thankfully, I found it through my library. For those of you who don't know, this movie is about a surgeon, played by Julian Sands, who is obsessed with a woman named Helena, played by Charlene Finn. And he wants her, but she doesn't want him, okay? This is not a reciprocal love affair. And he is, you know, he's trying real hard, and he invites her, he steals her address book to force her to come to his house. And unfortunately, she gets into an accident and he chops off her legs and then eventually her arms, and he boxes her. Okay, he boxes her in a box. She's just a torso so that he can keep her and they can fall in love. Love the concept. Love it absolutely so much. Didn't like the execution. This is from director Jennifer Lynch, who is David Lynch's daughter. She was 19 when she made this movie, which is insane to me. And I feel like there's a lot of stuff that was cool about it, a lot of stuff I liked. I think the performances are good. It just kind of, I don't know, it gets really boring, which is crazy to say when it has such an incredible concept. But it's also just weird. And not like the David Lynch weird, it's, I don't know. There's a lot of times where it felt like Cinemax moments, and I'm like, what is happening here? What are they saying? There's a really bad reveal for the ending, which is, it's a trope that I hate, and many people hate, so yeah, I didn't like it. But I'm glad I finally saw it. It's a cult horror movie. It's more of a thriller than anything, but yeah. Can you imagine somebody chopping off your limbs and boxing you? What's also interesting to note about this movie is that Madonna and Kim Basinger were set to play the lead, but both backed out of the movie, and Kim Basinger backed out like last minute. She cost them like a lot of money for the production, and so they sued her directly, and they won like millions of dollars from Kim Basinger, and like she had to declare bankruptcy and all that stuff. So I thought that was really interesting. I feel like that stuff, the production side of things, has become like a bigger story than the movie itself. I think it's okay. Like, had I seen this when I was younger, I probably would have ate this shit up. I probably would have loved it. Please let me know if you've seen this movie. And also, what did he think of me to recommend this movie to me? There you have it, guys. Those are all of the horror movies I watched in April. We're in May. We got a shit ton of movies coming out this month as well. Let me know what movies you watched last month, which ones were your favorite, which were your worst, and if you also watched any of the movies I talked about. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you next time. Bye.